Greetings, fellow adventurers. I'm Max with PeakD&D.
And I'm Ben. Welcome to the Peak.
We're here in the Rocky Mountains helping you elevate your game in 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons and possibly life.
Now, in this episode of Peaked Interests, we talk about the 4 Fs and give you a free magical item that you can use to level up your adventures in real life.
Let's roll some initiative and get to it.
Today, we wanted to talk about Today, we wanted to talk to you about something that came up during a recent gameplay session.
As you might have noticed from our intro, Peaked Interest isn't just about elevating your game in Dungeons & Dragons. We also want to pull lessons off the table and show you how you can use them to elevate your real life.
For those who haven't been watching, Max and I, and Tony and Nick, have been making our way through Into the Fae by Luke Hart of the DM Lair. Pre-order your copy today. Boop!
Luke's done a great job. He's created a fun and well thought out campaign for levels 1 to 5 with lots of good intrigue. It's been pretty awesome to get a chance to debut this module to the world.
But before diving into the specifics, a little bit of background. My character, Jastian, is a warlock. So warlocks, right? They have patrons. Their deal is they make deals with powerful entities in order to shoot magic lasers and cast spells and invocations.
Now, we are very early on in this campaign. We're only like level 2, which is to say we are oh so very fragile and still super confused as to what the hell is actually going on story-wise.
About all we know at this point is that there are some Fae creatures that seem to be plaguing Aeredale and the surrounding areas.
By virtue of a little meadery mischief, our party happened to find itself deep underground in a cave housing a mysterious magic portal.
We just barely eked our way through, surviving by the skin of our teeth the boss fight down there.
Which is why I wasn't really feeling with experimenting with the creepy magic portal, but as I did have the most hit points and I am the sneakiest, I acquiesced. And then was shocked when, after scouting and returning, you and your 7 hit points decided to jump on through.
What can I say? Jastian was given the opportunity to do the one thing he's ever wanted to do most in life, to go to the Feywild. It's what he's dreamed of ever since he was a little kid. So he jumped at it, or through it.
Yes, he did. And would you like to tell the good people watching, how did that work out for you?
Not great. Yeah, I leaped into the chance to achieve my dream, only to realize that when I got there, it wasn't at all how I thought it'd be.
No? You mean you weren't anticipating having an otherworldly spooky voice invade your mind?
I was not. But that is exactly what happened. I hopped through, rope tied around my waist for safety, and found myself in a situation that I was in no way prepared for.
And that, right there, is what Ben and I want to talk to you about today. What to do when you don't know what to do.
Now we're going to use some of the footage from my run-in with the Queen below to help us. Here we go.
I hear you. What is this place?
Welcome to the home of the Vex Mortem.
Who are you?
Turn and face me.
Is it coming from the altar?
Looks like it's coming from the altar.
Oh, jeez.
The first thing that strikes me here is that 3 of our 4 Fs, fight, flight, and freeze, are on display.
In 1915, Walter Bradford Cannon, a physiologist at Harvard, coined the term the fight or flight response, after he noticed that animals, when aroused, overwhelmed, or afraid, tended to do one of those 2 things.
Since then, a 3rd F, freeze, has found its way into Cannon's classic couple, making the fight, flight, freeze response our go-to to the surprising, scary unknown.
And for our purposes here, Max and I have decided to call this scary, surprising unknown fog.
Yep. Fog, fight, flight, freeze. The 4 Fs.
Otherwise known as the Defense Cascade, if you'd like to be more academic about it.
Either way, it's on display. Ben, upon stepping through that portal and into the fog, what was the first thing you tried to do?
Run. I tried to get back through the portal, back to you and Tony.
Come, Jastian. Jealous and here.
A patron, you said. I've got one of those. This is a little bird that came to me the other day, and gotta go. And I run back to the portal.
You run through a deactivated portal.
Fuck!
Flight. Now, it just so happened that wasn't an option. The portal was deactivated.
And I really didn't like my chances with fight. I mean, there was a voice coming from somewhere, speaking directly into my level 2 brain, and I just felt a little bit outclassed.
Sure. And if I'm not mistaken, you also didn't have any spell slots, and your hit points were in the single digits, and you were reeling from having your abilities drained.
I was not at my best.
So, what did you do?
Well, the only thing I could do, nothing.
I turn around and I stand right in the middle of the portal and I look around. I said, "What? Oh,
Freeze. It turns out doing nothing is actually doing something, and it's usually one of the best first steps you can take when you don't know what to do.
Max is right. Typically, being hell-bent on getting out of the fog, an uncomfortable or possibly intense situation, either by duking it out or making a mad dash, tends to blind us, which is too bad because, as you'll soon see, almost every situation has opportunities.
what is the meaning of this? What do you want from me?"
Well, what do we do now? The inscription smiles and sort of raises its hand.
Oh no. We're just going to talk, you say. Obviously, I'm not going anywhere. My ride left.
It's like Ben said, situations contain opportunities. Only often we're too preoccupied with getting out of the fog to notice them. That's why, depending on the type of fog you're in, freeze may be your best response.
Once you stop trying to fight or flight and you decide to freeze, it gives you the chance to open up, to take in your surroundings and use your perception to make a wisdom check.
That's right. After you freeze, it's time to use your senses. Look around. Listen. What do you see? What do you hear? What is actually happening in your environment? What's there?
Now, in this instance, for me, I was in a very creepy cave with an even creepier altar and an even creepier disembodied female voice who seemed to know all about me.
Yeah, and what did you decide to do?
Well, the only sane thing, I started talking back.
Yeah, you began working with the situation instead of against it.
Well, I figured, what the hell? I mean, at the end of this, I wasn't sure it was going to help me get out of the Fae and back to my friends, but it was my best option.
Also, talking is something you're good at.
Oh, yes, Jastian excels at talking his way out of situations and laying it on rather thick. It's his favorite move. Just ask Miss Thumbkins.
Oh, she loves you.
Yes, well, who doesn't, right? Am I right?
This makes sense. When you're in fog, uncomfortable, out of your element, nervous, scared, calling on something you do well, one of your strengths, is a good idea.
I figured as long as she's talking to me, she wasn't killing me, and that was a plus. Back to the altar.
You know my name. Unfortunately, I don't believe I know who you are. I believe I've had the pleasure.
The mortals you know would refer to me as the Queen below.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Below here? In what? And how may I help you?
Oh, this is so perfect! Ben, I love you! You fell back to your strength, got her talking, and then what happened?
Well, I learned all sorts of new information that I didn't know. I found out more about her, like her name, and even some things about my father's mysterious past.
Oh, to be a drunken fly on the wall during that conversation with your pops.
You have an interesting bloodline, Jastian Jealousend, dear.
Well, thank you. First off, flattered, really. The only problem is I've got a thing going with a bird.
Your father did you a great disservice by failing to explain.
Really? What does my father have to do with any of this?
That is a question you should ask him.
And really, it was her bringing up your father that proved to be your next step of getting out of the fog.
It sure was. The queen below brought up my father, and I asked a follow-up question. Her response was basically, ask him yourself. P.S. Tell him I say hey.
All right, back to the altar. Last time.
I believe that I should speak with my father about this, and he can shed some light on it.
If you can leave a tithe before my altar.
Of course, it was a blood tithe, but what choice did I have? I did what she asked, and she let me go.
Blood sacrifice to an evil goddess? What could go wrong?
No repercussions whatsoever.
No.
Now, at this point, you might be asking yourself, how could watching me roleplay my way out of the Feywild and the telepathic grasp of the Queen below possibly help you in your real life? Well, like this.
There's a formula Ben used, or call it a template, or even a spell if you want, and you can use it too the next time you find yourself in some fog of your own.
Yeah, and hopefully whatever your fog may be, it won't involve a sinister voice whispering unsettling facts about your family. Hey, you're in some fog. It's cool, it happens. Don't sweat it. This is precisely why you have this scroll. Read on. You got this.
Next comes identifying the type of fog you're in. This is really, really important because it turns out there are two very different types of fog, and knowing which one you're in is the first step.
You've got your cloud kill and your fog cloud. Cloud kill is legitimately dangerous and life-threatening situations. For real. I feel like this is a very important part.
Yeah, fog cloud, on the other hand, thankfully, is way more common. It's your mundane fog. It's uncomfortable, possibly unexpected, but it doesn't legitimately threaten your existence.
So the first thing you need to do is assess the threat level of your fog. Ask yourself, am I in real danger? And if the answer to that is yes, then that means you're in cloud kill, and you need to fight or flight your way the fuck out of there as fast as you can.
If the answer is no, well, that just means you're in a fog cloud, which, annoying, not awesome, also not deadly. So that means, as you can see, it's time to freeze.
Pause. Close your eyes. Take a few breaths. On the exhale, think to yourself or say aloud something calming like, I'm okay. I got this. Or, this is what gaining experience feels like.
Then, open your eyes, open your ears, roll your wisdom. Really take in your surroundings. Pay attention to the information on offer from your environment.
Next, be patient and remind yourself of your goal, what it is you're trying to get out of the situation.
For Jastian, these first steps looked like realizing he wasn't likely going to die, listening to the voice in his head, doing what it said, and beginning to engage with it. All the while, waiting for the opportunity to get the fuck out of Dodge.
For you, it's probably going to look different. I hope it looks different. But the principle still applies. Wait for that clue, that glimmer of the next step on the path toward where you want to go.
And then, summon your strengths. Use them. Whoever you are watching this, I promise you, you are good at something. There are skills you have used over and over again. You've got your go-tos.
And be patient. Use your go-tos. Wait for that step to appear, and then take it. Then, like the chart shows, just repeat the process.
Pause. Tune into your surroundings. Roll your wisdom. Be patient. Remind yourself of the goal. Wait for that thread. Use your strengths, and tug. When the next step appears, take it. Do that over and over until you get out.
Now, it took Jastian a couple of tugs on a couple of different threads before his next steps appeared. And maybe it'll take less for you and your fog. Maybe it'll take more. It really just depends.
Lastly, a little trick you can use in those moments when frustration and impatience take hold and you're thinking to yourself, when is this going to end?
If you're there, think about driving a car down a windy road on a foggy night. Just go ahead and picture it. You've got your headlights on and maybe visibility is 15 feet or 3 spaces in front of you.
Yeah, literally all you can see is that next curve to your left, but that's all you need. Because as soon as you follow that, you're able to see the next 15 feet, 3 spaces of road. And when you get to the end of that bit, the next appears. Do that enough and you get to where you're going.
Did you love it? No. Were you super comfortable behind the wheel? Probably not. But you had your headlights, and you were confident in your own ability to drive, and in time, you made it through.
So, if you're in a fog cloud and you lose your patience, just remember, you don't need to see all the way to the end to get to the end. All you need to see is that next step. And if you don't see that, it means it's time to freeze.
The 4 Fs. Fog, fight, flight, freeze. It worked for Jastian, and it can work for you too. And to make it even easier for you, we've turned it into an equipable magical item.
Sure did, and it's all yours for free. There's a link in the description to download your copy of our Scroll of 4 Fs.
It's a free PDF. You can save it to your phone, equip it, and then next time you find yourself face first in a font of fog, you too can whip out your very own magical item and read it.
Hey, thanks for sticking around and hanging out with us today.
Hopefully, we piqued your interests.
And gave you something to think about to help you elevate your game.
Now let us know in the comments below if this video resonated with you. And don't forget to click the link below to get your free magic scroll.
For more PeakD&D content, roll to hit that subscribe button, and make sure you drop the wardings around that notification bell. That way, you won't get skipped and miss your turn.
Be sure to check back here for more Dungeons & Dragons content, and please help the channel level up by casting Bigby's thumbs up. Like this video, and until then, keep on climbing.
Catch you next time on Top of the Peak.
It sound right, boy.